Download this code and get free GPT-4o from codegive.com, link in the description below. Assertions and validations are crucial for ensuring that your API behaves as expected. They allow you to verify that the actual output of your API matches the expected output. In this tutorial, we'll go through how to implement assertions and validations in your API tests using Python with the requests library and the unittest framework. Part 9, Adding Assertions and Validations in API Tests. Prerequisites. Ensure you have the following installed. Python 3.x. Requests library for making HTTP requests. Unittest framework, comes with Python. You can install the requests library if you haven't already. Bash. Pip install requests. Structure of the API test. 1. Setup, prepare your test environment. 2. Send a request, make an API call using the requests library. 3. Assertions, validate the response using assertions. Example API test. Let's create a simple example that tests a hypothetical REST API for a user management system. We'll be testing the GET endpoint to retrieve user information. Sample API endpoint. For this tutorial, we'll assume our API endpoint is get/API/users/ID, retrieves user data given a user ID. Test case. 1. We will get user information for user ID 1. 2. We will assert that the response status code is 200. The response contains the expected user data, name, email, etc. Code example. Python. Import requests. Import unittest. Class test user API, unittest.test case. Base underscore URL equals http://example.com/API/users #replace with your actual API URL. Dev test underscore get underscore user, self. User underscore ID equals 1. Response equals requests.get, f self.base underscore URL/user underscore ID. Assert the status code. Self.assert equal, response.status underscore code, 200, expected status code 200. Parse the JSON response. User underscore data equals response.json. Assert the structure of the user data. Self.assert in, ID, user underscore data, response does not contain ID. Self.assert in, name, user underscore data, response does not contain name. Self.assert in, email, user underscore data, response does not contain email. Assert the expected values. Self.assert equal, user underscore data ID, user underscore ID, f expected user ID user underscore ID. Self.assert equal, user underscore data name, John Doe, expected name John Doe. Self.assert equal, user underscore data email, john.doe@example.com, expected email john.doe@example.com. If underscore underscore name underscore underscore equals equals underscore underscore main underscore underscore. Unittest.main. Explanation of the code. 1. Import libraries. We import the requests library for making HTTP requests. We import unittest to create our test case class. 2. Define test case class. We create a class test user API that inherits from unittest.testCase. 3. Define test method. test_get_user, this method tests the GET request for a user. 4. Make API request. We use requests.get to send a GET request to the API. 5. Assertions. We check if the status code is 200. We parse the response JSON and check for the presence of keys like ID, name, and email. Finally, we check if the values of ID, name, and email match the expected values. 6. Run the test. The unittest.main function runs the test when the script is executed. ##### running the test. To run the test, save the code to a file named test_user_api.py and execute the following command in your terminal. Bash python test_user_api.py ### conclusion. Assertions and validations are integral to API testing, helping ensure that your API responds as expected. In this tutorial, we covered how to use assertions in unittest to validate API responses. You can expand upon this by adding more test cases, testing different endpoints, and handling various scenarios like error responses. Happy testing!